the unofficial end of summer, right? Labor Day weekend has just passed. For most of us, it is a nice long break, but in our major cities, it oftentimes means a bloodbath. And in Chicago, 8 people were murdered over the holiday weekend. Another 58 were shot. American black neighborhoods have been disastrous and dangerous for so many decades that this kind of activity doesn't even get a lot of news coverage anymore. It gets local. Only on weekends like this does it really flare up and you see it in national coverage. We've been conditioned here in America to just accept a lot of dead black kids every weekend in multiple American cities, and then a lot more when the weather gets warm, and then a lot more on a holiday weekend like Labor Day. How sad is that, by the way, that we just expect to live like this? You don't have to. As we know by now, the Trump White House doesn't accept bizarre societal norms like this. They change them all the time. 58 shot and 8 killed was enough to push Trump over the edge, it appears, confirming this afternoon that the National Guard will be going into Chicago.
We're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country.
They all have an obligation to protect the country, just some haven't done it in a very long time and have figured out some kind of political apparatus to stay in power despite even doing that. Again, Chicago went from Lightfoot to this new guy, Brandon Johnson. You can't lose. No matter how stupid you are, you can't lose in Chicago as a Democrat. So the dumbest guy wins. The president then slamming blue state leaders who have vilified his and the White House's efforts to combat all of this crime. Take a listen.
You have this governor, Get Up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the two worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed.
Yeah, and they don't care is the craziest part. Take a quick look at Washington right now. In just the 22 days, 3 weeks since Washington, D.C. was federalized, the murder rate has plummeted. Crime has plummeted. Quality of life is skyrocketing. You can talk to anybody walking on the streets and they'll admit it. Looking at numbers alone, murders alone, there's been 3 murders in Washington in 22 days. They went something like 13, 14 days without a murder. They've had 3 in 22 days. That annualizes to 50 per year at that rate for our nation's capital. 50 murders per year. It's not the best, but compare it to last year when it was 190. In 2023, it was 274, and it got worse and worse the 2 years before that. So think about that. That's one city annualizing right now to 50. With this method, Trump could save the lives of thousands of black teens nationwide. But the process of doing so would highlight the absolute incompetence and the apathy of the people who have led cities like Chicago for years. The same people who destroyed the black community decades ago with a welfare model designed to create government dependency, way back in the 60s. And that's why these same people are responding to this so harshly. Here was J.B. Pritzker this afternoon, desperate to make this conversation go away after another horrific weekend in his prized city of Chicago.
I want to address the president's unhinged remarks a few minutes ago, begging me to call him. No, I will not call the president, asking him to send troops to Chicago. When did we become a country where it's okay for the U.S. president to insist on national television that a state should call him to beg for anything, especially something we don't want? Have we truly lost all sense of sanity in this nation? You are likely to see videos of them hauling away mothers and fathers, traveling to work or picking up their kids from school. Let's be clear, the terror and cruelty is the point.
Hauling away mothers and fathers, just taking their kids to school. He's just making nonsense up. Flanked by 2 bozos behind him that make this even worse. Unhinged, sanity lost. Terror and cruelty are the words. What Trump is offering has terrified these people because of the political implications. This is the stupidest they have ever looked right now. It's brilliant politics from the White House, forcing Democrats every day to get on TV and loudly scream in defiance of ending crime and misery. It's brilliant. Even the host of the Democrats' favorite morning show said today that Governor Pritzker should just call Trump and join forces.
I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional. Let's work together to save lives.
That would be the smart thing to do. If Democrats wanted to appear moderate, if they wanted to get back all the people that left them in the last election, that knew that they had gone insane, that's what Pritzker would be doing. But Pritzker's not smart enough to do that. As Trump said, he was kicked out of the family business for a reason. So this is what they're going to do. He called it. Trump called it. Smart politics. There's nothing radical about working with the federal government to make your city safer when you got dead black kids all over the streets. Nothing radical at all. And in their desperation to find something to complain about in all this, the one big talking point sent to Democrats and the media has been to focus on the fact that Trump hasn't sent the National Guard into any dangerous cities that happen to be inside red states.
There are a lot of cities in red states where the president is not suggesting sending the National Guard.
A list of the most violent U.S. cities, and a number of them are in red states. We're not seeing Donald Trump use the military or threaten the military in any one of these places.
The U.S. city with the highest homicide rate is St. Louis, in a state with a Republican governor.
We believe that they will pick up all of those resources and send them to the next city in a blue state, ignoring cities in red states with higher violent crime rates than we have.
Newsom does this all the time, too. They love to insinuate that somehow conservative policies lead to more dangerous situations and communities than Democrat policies. It is the most ridiculous thing that they say. They love that talking point. You notice they never highlight that all of the cities that they're speaking of are radically blue cities that happen to be inside of red states. They are all run by Democrats. They are all of the same political mentality. They have to conceal that for greater effect, right? Because otherwise it doesn't work. This morning, back to Joe Scarborough for a second, ruined the tease coming out of the first block of the show right before the commercial break. Watch the reaction from his wife when he jumps on the tease after she speaks. This is pretty funny.
Plus, we'll look at the rising crime rates in Republican-led states amid the federal takeover of Washington, D.C.'s police department.
And we'll also take a look at what happened in Chicago over the weekend. Over 50 people shot, 7 killed.
No, that wasn't in the prompter. And Joe's doing the dishes tonight. Chicago is the worst of the worst. Of course, it would make sense that this would be the place that Trump starts after he federalizes the capital and the city that he has to live in. Of course, you're going to go to Chicago first. That's where the most people are with the high crime rate. Now, are there cities that have a higher rate than Chicago? Yes, but they're far smaller. So you have a lot less dead black kids. And isn't that the point? To stop death? Isn't that the point of everything he's trying to do? Same thing with Ukraine. He wants to stop death. Memphis, Houston, wherever else likely come next. I don't think he cares that much about going into a red state because it's a blue city. If it's politics, but it's a blue city run by an idiot Democrat mayor, and there's crime and grime, and the police department's messed up and has no support. It's the way it is. It's not at the governor's level, it's at the city level. But the cries that this is political, even if it is, look terrible. Complaining about this, even if you're saying it's political, still looks terrible. And that's part of the brilliance of the way this is being done. Just listen to an actual Chicago resident that actually has to live in a dangerous part of that city.
I got kids, and I want to see the community better. I run every day out here. I exercise out here. So for the street to be safer, I think it's really good.
There you go. Imagine what that guy thinks when he sees Pritzker on TV every day with his mayor, his boneheaded mayor, screaming at Trump for trying to make his neighborhood safer so his kids don't get shot when they turn 15 years old. Fearing his humiliation is coming next. Here's Democrat Golden Boy Governor Wes Moore of Maryland, who apparently just got back from Clooney's house in Italy, while his city is a disaster, Baltimore, sweating the National Guard in the disaster known as Baltimore, and that it might derail his presidential ambitions. Take a listen to this.
The National Guard is completely performative because the National Guard is not even trained for it. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Maryland National Guard, I am not just deeply respectful, but very cognizant of the skill sets that our National Guards bring. And the National Guard is not trained for municipal policing.
I want to be president, and I don't want to have to do anything to earn it. Stop messing with us, is what he's really saying. If that's true, if the National Guard doesn't know anything about policing and can't make anything safer, why is it working? Why is everyone in Washington, D.C. reporting on the immediate improvement in quality of life? What happened to the crime? Wes Moore, if it doesn't work, D.C. borders your state. Where was the reporter asking any of this, by the way, too? ABC. You have to be really stupid to buy their talking points. You have to be brainless to think that Trump has some grand fascist plan in all of this. At worst, the president knows that saving a lot of black lives and cleaning up blue cities will benefit him greatly in the midterms. That is as devious as this could possibly be. That is it. It's just smart. Let's help people that have been voting for Democrats for 50 years realize that they've been throwing away their vote for 50 years. Trump's been talking about this for 9 years. A very small minority of people out there believe the Democrat talking points on this issue, and we actually found a video of them from over the weekend.
Get back our humanity. And now we're out in the streets. Out in the streets. Out in the streets. Yeah, out in the streets. Ain't gonna let no fascists take our democracy.
What else is there to say? You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.